It was a cold night when I stood outside my house, holding bags of groceries. Suddenly, I heard the screeching sound of car tires. I didn't expect it. Before I could react, I was knocked to the ground, pain shooting through my body. My groceries scattered across the road. When I looked up, I saw the driver's face. It was my mother-in-law, Janet. She had hit me with her car. I couldn't believe it. My head was spinning, and I struggled to understand what had just happened. Later, I lay in the hospital, bruised and sore. My phone rang. It was my husband, Adam. He sounded nervous. "Kelly, you need to tell the police you just fell," he said quickly. "Someone saw Mom hit you with the car. Please, just say you fell." His words shocked me. Not only had Janet hit me, but now Adam wanted me to lie about it. I was stunned. Why would he ask me to cover for her? My mind raced as I realized what was happening. This wasn't just an accident. It was a betrayal. I thought back to the beginning of my marriage. When Adam and I first met, things were great. He was my mentor at work. He wasn't the most charming man, but he was kind and steady. Over time, I grew to love him. But after we got married, everything changed. Moving in with his parents had been a huge mistake. Janet's constant comments and Tyler's outdated views made everything harder. I felt trapped. I thought marrying Adam would be my escape, but instead, it felt like I was living in a prison. The more I tried to talk to Adam about his parents, the more he brushed me off. "They're old, Kelly," he would say. "You need to be more understanding." It hurt. He never took my side. Janet and Tyler kept pushing us to have children, but Adam seemed uninterested. He was too focused on his own life to care about mine. I was left to handle his parents' constant judgments. It felt like our marriage was falling apart, and there was nothing I could do about it. During all of this, the only person who seemed to understand was my neighbor, Diane. She had gone through her own struggles, so she understood what I was dealing with. She became my closest friend, someone who knew the truth about my marriage. She listened to me, and she offered support when no one else did. It was in those quiet moments with Diane that I realized how much I had been putting up with. I wasn't just unhappy. I was stuck in a life I didn't want. As Adam's voice echoed on the phone, asking me to lie, something inside me changed. I couldn't keep doing this. I had spent too many years putting up with their mistreatment. I had been silent for far too long. This time, I wasn't going to cover for them. Janet had crossed a line, and Adam was now asking me to be a part of it. I hung up the phone, feeling a sense of determination. I couldn't let this go. It was time to make them face what they had done. Diane came to see me in the hospital again. She looked worried. "How are you feeling?" she asked, sitting beside me. I smiled weakly. "I've been better," I said. Then I asked her, "What did the police say?" Diane's face became serious. "At first, they thought it was an accident. But I told them what I saw," she explained. "I saw Janet drive out of the garage fast, and then I found you on the ground." Hearing this, my heart raced. Diane had told the truth. Janet hadn't just made a mistake. Diane's words made me even more determined. "You can't let them get away with this, Kelly," she said. "This isn't just about the accident. It's about everything they've done to you. You deserve to stand up for yourself." Her words hit me hard. For so long, I had put up with Janet's insults and Tyler's old-fashioned views. Adam had always been passive, never standing up for me. This was my chance to break free. I couldn't let them control me anymore. A plan started to form in my mind. It wasn't just about getting justice for the accident. It was about standing up for myself. Janet and her family had hurt me for so long. The next day, when the police came to take my statement, I told them everything. I didn't hold back. I explained how the accident happened, how I had been hurt, and how Adam tried to cover it up. The officer listened closely. "We have enough to bring them in for questioning," he said. I finally felt like I had some control over the situation. Over the next few days, I began to feel stronger. Diane kept me updated on the investigation. The community began to rally around me, showing their support. People were shocked and angry about what had happened. Diane's husband, Jeremy, reviewed their security footage, hoping to find something useful. Knowing that we might have evidence to prove Janet's intentions made me hopeful. The idea of exposing her finally made me feel like I was doing something right. It was a small step, but it was a step forward. Each day, my body healed a little more, but what truly gave me strength was the hope of justice. I felt my confidence growing. I wasn't the quiet, submissive woman I used to be. One day, Diane came to visit with good news. "The police reviewed the footage," she said. "It's clear. Janet hit you on purpose." I felt a rush of relief, but I also knew this was just the beginning. "What happens next?" I asked. "They're bringing them in for questioning today," Diane replied. I could hardly wait for them to face what they had done. The air in the police station was thick with tension as I waited. The door opened and Detective Ritchie walked in with a file. "We have the footage," he said. "It clearly shows Janet's car hitting you. There's no doubt." My heart raced. "What now?" I asked. "We're bringing them in for questioning," he said. "Your husband, too. They'll have to answer for everything." A feeling of power filled me. I wasn't just getting revenge. I was taking control of my life. Later that day, Diane called with an update. "Janet, Tyler, and Adam are being questioned," she said. "The whole neighborhood is talking about it. People can't believe what Janet did." It felt strange to hear, but I also felt a sense of satisfaction. For the first time, people knew what had really happened. That night, I lay in my hospital bed, imagining the moment when Janet would finally be held accountable. She had always been so powerful and intimidating, but now she was cornered by her own actions. I would finally see her vulnerable. The next day, the police told me that things were moving forward. "Janet, Tyler, and Adam are facing charges," they said. "This is just the beginning." The news of their questioning spread quickly. I could feel the weight of their guilt. Diane and Jeremy stood by me, offering their constant support. It felt so different from the coldness I had felt with Adam's family. Their kindness was a warm reminder that I wasn't alone anymore. I was no longer the woman in the background. I was taking control. As the legal proceedings started, I watched as Janet, Tyler, and Adam's lives began to fall apart. The community reacted in shock, some expressing disappointment. But I felt a sense of relief. They were finally being held accountable. Diane and Jeremy kept supporting me, and I felt stronger every day. I had found my voice. I had broken free from their control. And now, as I stood outside the courthouse after the verdict, I knew this was just the beginning of my new life. Janet and Tyler were sentenced to prison for their crimes, and Adam was sentenced to community service. As I walked out of the courthouse, I felt a sense of freedom. The years of pain and control were finally behind me. Diane and Jeremy were with me, supporting me every step of the way. I had made it through, and now I was ready to start my life again. It was a new beginning, and I couldn't wait to see what the future held. I was no longer just a woman who had been wronged. I was Kelly,